Hi there, welcome to the latest edition of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this one is a revisit to the £750,000 that Humza Yousaf donated to Gaza. I've done a video about this previously, questioning it and the timing of it, because it all happened sort of 24 hours before his in-laws were in the first tranche of UK citizens to be given free passage in Egypt after the conflict kicked off. And today I want to investigate if this money and this donation was actually legal. Now, what triggered my initial thought on this was the press release given by the Scottish Government to the media. And it wasn't something that it said that got my attention. It was something it didn't say. Now, what it did say was there was, on the 14th of October, there was a press release put out headed £750,000 to support relief projects in Libya and Gaza. The International Development Minister Christina McKelvey has pledged new funding from the Scottish Government to support projects to provide water, food and shelter in Gaza and Libya. Now, it's the first thing was talked about was the £500,000 to Gaza. There was two tranches of money. I'll come to the second one in a minute, which was 500,000, and they were putting this into the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA. Now, UNRWA is a whole topic in itself, which could probably fill a half-hour moan. Quite dubious what they do with their money. However, they tell you where the money went to and how it got there. It got there through the UN. And it then went on to say a further £250,000 was also allocated through the Scottish Government's Humanitarian Energy Fund, HEF, to support relief efforts in Libya. Now, what I found odd was this thing that wasn't said, because this quite clearly tells you where two tranches of money go to, how much they are, but only one instance does it tell you where the money came from. And that was in the Libyan 250,000, which came from the Scottish Government's Humanitarian Emergency Fund, HEF. So that got me thinking, very suspicious character, especially when these people are involved. I thought, well, where did this £500,000 of money for Gaza come from? So then, on the 2nd of November, another press release was launched from the Scottish Government offices, and it says, headline, humanitarian aid for Gaza. Again, this was handed to the press so they could write their stories. First Minister this time, Humza Yousaf, has pledged money, further £250,000 to support displaced people in Gaza. The additional money takes the total given in relief efforts in Gaza to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency flash to £750,000. Yet again, in this press release, there was no suggestion of where the money came from. Now, what happened next? Well, what happened next was I'd done a video and it's been seen by about 100,000 people. That's amazing when you think that the adult population of Scotland is probably 4.5 million. There's about 5.5 million people here. Probably 1 million of them are under 18. That's a bit of a proportion of the Scottish people. That's a bit scary, to be honest with you. So it went on fire and a lot of people started getting upset about it, and a lot of people were joining the dots and saying, as I was, although we couldn't say definitely, but thinking that's a bit odd that this money went in the second tranche and 48 hours later his in-laws amazingly get out of Gaza. And we're asking questions about this. So much so that a friendly fan of the page done a FOI request and shared it with me. Now, sharing FOI requests isn't a bad thing, because FOI request responses all go onto the Scottish Government website. And I would suggest that when you have a wee spare half an hour to run down a rabbit hole, they're worth a little dig, because some of the information on them's truly fascinating. So, let me just get the... Now, in this FOI, although it did ask about several things, so several topics there, it did ask about money given to countries and religious bodies, etc. So there's a whole tranche of stuff, and there might be other information in there that I can look at later date. However, the big topic for me was this Gaza money, which was part of this FOI. Now, in this FOI, it quite clearly shows there lots of different, money's given to SCIAF, Christian Aid, Red Cross, Islamic Relief, all these things, and the majority of those come from the Humanitarian Emergency Fund. However, the money for Gaza, humanitarian support for Gaza, it's listed as, comes from the IDF fund. Now, the IDF fund is a fund for international development. And, let me just pull up the data that I need. Scotland basically has three tranches of money. They've got three pockets of money they can use to give to foreign countries and bodies and things like disasters and stuff. And they quite clearly state what each one is for and how much money each year can be used in the pots. And the pots have got a £10 million fund in one, a £3 million in another, and £1 million in another. And they're all unique for different causes. However, let me just tell you where the International Development Fund money can be used, and this is the money that the Gaza donation came from. So this is from ScotGov's website, and I'll put a lot of links in the description so you guys can have a wee rummage about yourself. We place great importance in Scotland being a good global citizen. Can't really disagree with that, it's a nice thing. This means playing our part in tackling global challenges, including poverty, injustice and equality. At the forefront of our efforts is our annual £10 million International Development Fund, whose main aim is to support and empower our partner countries. Partner countries listed: Malawi, Rwanda, Zambia and Pakistan. 3 African countries and Pakistan. We have 3 funding streams under the IDF. So this is where the money, you can give it to these countries and you can give it for any of these 3 reasons: development assistance aid projects, capacity strengthening initiatives, and commercial investment initiatives. Okay. Then it lists how that money gets paid out. And there's 4 ways they can support you. For the development assistance programs in our partner countries, the 4 listed, and others. So let's have a wee look at that and see if Gaza could be given money in this one. Development assistance, the first and largest funding stream our International Development Fund uses, our Malawi, Rwanda, Zambia and Pakistan development programs, as well as our small grants program. We allocate funding to projects being run, this is key, by a range of Scottish-based organisations. So this money isn't getting used to fund something run by a Scottish-based organisation, therefore the Gaza thing can't be given the money under that umbrella. The second out of the 4 is a capacity strengthening initiatives between institutions in Scotland and our partner countries. Gaza isn't a partner country, so it can't be through that tranche. So that's 2 of the possible ways it could be funded are not applicable to Gaza. Commercial investment initiatives, including the Malawi Investment Initiative. Gaza doesn't qualify under that tranche either. And the last one is for collaborating with other donors, including comic relief, sports relief, in our partner countries. Because that was the one that I thought maybe they've justified this money through this collaboration with other donors. However, as a stipulation on giving money collaborated with other donors, it's with our partner countries. That means Malawi, Rwanda, Zambia and Pakistan. Therefore, the International Development Fund, £10 million per year, sounds like quite a good scheme. Quite a nice thing. However, none of those applicable uses apply to the £750,000 given to Gaza. So it looks to me as if this Mr. McKelvey, or who indeed was the person honoured in the first press release of the £500,000, is given this money to Gaza, and the First Minister himself taking the plaudits for the second tranche of money, the £250,000, that was days before his mother and father-in-law were released from Gaza. This stinks. You cannot just give money away. And the reason being, Scotland does not have and deal with international affairs. However, there is three lots of money, a 10 million, a 3 million and a £1 million pot, that Scotland can give money to other countries. That's part of, that's allowed. That's a devolved power. But foreign affairs is not a devolved power. So it leaves me questioning, and it looks to me, I must admit, that this is just another example of the Scottish Government riding roughshod over regulations and rules. And I do not believe, and I must stress, I am not a lawyer, I'm not a legal expert. I'm just a guy with an inquisitive mind that can read. And I can find no justification for this £750,000 of taxpayers' money that's just been given to Gaza. And then what's I think happens here is they decide they want to do things, and then they see how they can do it. They've not been able to find any way of doing it. So it took a Freedom of Information request to find out where this pot, what pot they used for this donation. And from my investigation, I think it's fair to summarise and conclude that it doesn't fit any of the criteria from the fund £10 million pot of Scottish taxpayers' money that they took this money. And it stinks. And then you've got a lot of other things to consider as to why. Why would you bend regulations for Gaza at that time? It's absolutely stinking. So, if there's any investigative journalists out there that are better equipped than me to go and look at this, I would suggest that you have a wee dig about. If you want to contact me, craighoustontalks2@gmail.com. I'm more than happy, and I thank every single person, including this man who forwarded me this information, and thank everybody who's been forwarding me information since the first time I gave out my email address. Delighted to hear from you all, and you can all rest assured that any information passed to me will be dealt with delicately and thoroughly. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit notifications. There'll be some recommendations in the corners here. But most importantly of all, have a great day. Bye now.